and we would share those faults of silver that we.
Continuing here about this immigration issue and these people, these sanctimonious people on their high horse. Look, I'm all for compassion. That's, so when people attack my compassion for supporting Trump, okay, I don't buy it. You understand? I am against dubious warfare. Okay, I'll go to a war. Okay, when it's a righteous war, when I've studied it and I realize, yes, we've got to go kick this tyrant's butt. So I'm all for a mighty military force for defense and for protection and all that. That's fine. But yes, let's use it prudently, wisely. Let's be the gentle giant, okay, and set a good example of nonviolence around the world. Not what we've been doing. So, um, yeah, we've got to keep. This is a big demand. They want the families kept together. Okay, fine. This offense is entering the country illegally. Yes, it's against the law. I don't know. What level of an infraction is. I've never looked it up. Is it a misdemeanor? Is it a felony? I don't know. But we all know that they take your kids away for a lot of different reasons. They'll put a man in jail for, not paying his child support. Yet he had no choice of whether the child was born. It wasn't his choice to have an abortion. Not that it should be. But if it's going to be the woman's choice, then the man has to have some choice. You understand? That would complicate this issue, wouldn't it? And that's what should happen. It should be kind of like how the death penalty is. If you want to murder somebody premeditatedly with capital punishment, first degree capital punishment, death penalty, then you have to, it's malice aforethought. You thought it through, and this is what you want. You want vengeance. You want to use it as a deterrent, right? So you believe that's your best rationale, is that it's a deterrent, right, to murderers. But we all know that plenty of people murder themselves every day. They kill themselves, suicide. So that's not what they're thinking about. When they're thinking about committing some heinous crime, they're not considering their own lives. Believe me, they don't care. If they don't care about other people's lives, they don't care about their own lives. So that logic doesn't fly. So, but with abortion, in light of the fact that, look, rape is illegal, as it should be, so the woman, okay, presumably has sex of her own free will and accord, her own choice to have sex, relations with a man, like the man did, right? She didn't force him to have sex. So they came together, had this physical union, and she was impregnated. And then society says, look, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you aborting that fetus, because they don't humanize it. Even though it's in there kicking, it's got a heartbeat and it's got a brain and it's got little fingers and little toes and, all the organs miniaturized. And we're harvesting the organs, and we use, some of the tissue to flavor the Pepsi, or at least they used to. These are the stories, truth is stranger than fiction. This is what's going on. In England, they're using abortions to heat the drying. The fat and tissue burns pretty good, so they're using it to heat the hospitals. It's like no Stephen King novel that could ever be written. It's that freaky and weird. That's our reality in this world. And God knows, when you come to your sense, you see the light even you go, man, what a departure. This is a huge paradox, folks, what we're involved in here. Like Jesus said, you must hate your life in this world. Look it up yourself. Pick up a concordance, key it into Google or whatever search engine you use, and find out. I started growing a beard. I noticed everybody's growing a beard, so I thought I'd jump on the bandwagon. It's the only kind of bandwagon I can stand. I can't stand the economic, financial bandwagons out there. But anyhow, so they're using these aborted fetuses to heat hospitals and in flavoring and body parts, of selling body parts. And they tell you, the only reason is because we're compassionate. You got this unplanned pregnancy, so you go to Planned Parenthood, and that's the advice they give you. And you can't afford the baby, and you don't want to go on welfare, even if you could. You've got pride, and you've always preached against social welfare programs, so your conscience won't allow you to go on welfare even if you could, and The guy's a deadbeat. He doesn't want the baby, so you decide to abort it. But if the other way around, the guy says, well, you know what, I want to keep the baby. He's moot, right? Currently, the way the law stands. But if she has the baby, he's forced to pay child support for the next 18 years, forced, and he'll go to jail, lose his license. I mean, he'll be destroyed if he doesn't pay it. How is that fair? And I've got two daughters. Okay, my son only lived 2 weeks, perfectly healthy baby, just dies all of a sudden, and what I'm learning now is probably the hepatitis B shot that was given to him on day one. That's my belief. But anyhow, having said that, I'm not against women at all. I'm pro-woman all the way. I believe women are more than half of a man. All men came out of a woman. We're at their mercy anyhow. That's just the way it is. So I am certainly not a misogynist. I worship women practically almost too much, but I justify it to God. I say, well, God, you created these beautiful creatures, and you understand, and you got to give me a break here. And yeah, I know it's weird, want to dote over these beautiful creatures you created, but hey, thank you, God. So that's my rationale that I give God for practically worshiping women. And, I really do better, I think, having a woman in my life, at least one. And more is good. But, I'm talking about business relationships, hitching myself to a wagon. I do better for me. It's hitching myself to the female the wagon, hitching myself to the feminine side, let's say, of things. I have never worked that well with alpha males or beta males. I don't know. I'm just kind of an oddball in that sense, a misfit. But anyhow, to make a long story short, I support women all the way. I'm pro-woman all the way. Women's rights, 100% freedom. They'd be born just like the man, free. It's their planet too, so they have an inherent God-given right to share in the inherent wealth of this planet. To be born financially free, okay, that would allow us to be completely free. It doesn't mean we're not going to be civil to people. I mean, we still have rules and laws that people follow, but they don't, like the 10 Commandments. You don't even have to think about it. If you're just following your heart, your spirit, your mind, you're praying without ceasing, just living your life for God, understanding it's not your life or my life. We're owned. It's his life. We've got to seek to please him because that's logical. Why? Because he's the grantor of true happiness. So being born free is essential. And it's not so radical. Okay, this idea, look, every other creature on the earth has no use for money. We're the only ones on the face of the earth. The only creature. The other ones have absolutely no use for the stuff. And what is our problem? What is our major malfunction? But we're by far and away vastly more intelligent than all the other creatures combined. And nobody can argue that point. I mean, just look at the technology. How close is a horse to doing that, or a monkey, or a dolphin, an elephant, or any other creature, a dog, okay, to, having toys on Mars, right? Okay, it's just never going to happen. We're gods. That's why scriptures say, that's how we should see each other, as fellow gods, and treat each other accordingly. If we had that level of respect for one another, do you think I'd talk to people the way I do, or think of them the way I do? Because that's where it all starts, in our mind, the way we think about people. No, because I see people as being evil. I see people as acting the brute beast that we've been trained to act like, the mindless, short-sighted, narrow-minded automaton, for the most part, that we've been trained to be, unthinking. To think a guy like me is crazy when I'm the only one that's logical. It's like, I don't care if the whole world wants to believe that, no, we need money. I just can't imagine it, and I don't see any benefit. You don't see any benefit? Look at all the problems. Look at all the crime that this stuff causes. How do you think they get people to go to these dubious wars? They have to pay them. Like, what do you think the financial industrial complex is, the debt industrial complex? It depends on predatory behavior. They need to enslave people. That's their service to, that's their service and commodity to humanity, is to indebt them. You understand? So without money, they couldn't do that. So you think they see it as a plus? Anybody involved in the financial services industry to learn to get along completely without money but have full prosperity? They don't want you to figure out that is not only possible, but that's coming. That's God's will being implemented upon the earth. That's what's going to happen at the end of the age. Get used to it. Cultivate it. Prepare your mind and your heart for a world entirely without any form of money. Total freedom is the only way. How we can't play this game a little bit. It's like using cocaine or something. Nobody, the most pathetic cocaine addicts out there, my experience I've seen, are the teetotalers. Okay, the moderate ones. I just do it once in a while, and I've got it all under control. They're miserable, even if they did it once a week or whatever. Okay, they'll be miserable the whole week, just jonesing for that hit of coke, that sniff of coke, just waiting. I just can't wait. I mean, my whole life revolves around that ritual of getting my cocaine and chopping it up and sniffing it up in my nose or in my arm, whatever they're shooting it up, whatever the hell's going on with them. It's the same way with the money. You understand all these people, why are these people insatiable? Why do they need to make so much money? Because they get a taste of it, like a blood to a shark. I mean, they taste it in the water. I understand sharks can smell blood in the water from miles away. It's ridiculous. And so that's how it is. They say, what, there's an advantage here? I can get a one-up on somebody. I can make somebody else do those chores, those tasks, those jobs I don't want to do. I can be the elitist here. I can be the boss. And so people can't resist it. They love it. They love money. They love their lives in this world more than they love this idea of a paradise, the one that's promised in Scripture. Also, all these people like Alex Jones constantly saying, we're not promised you a utopia and all this. Well, I mean, what does the Bible promise, Alex Jones? I mean, it promises essentially a utopia. Call a utopia what you want. A paradise, because that's just an invented word. That's a relatively recent word, right? The name of some book. But we got paradise, like Jesus said, and in heaven, it's all conflated. It's just a perfect world. That's it, down to the smallest detail. Jesus talked about that's what's coming, this new age, the renewal of all things. So even the natural organic things that are bugging all of us, it's too damn hot, it's too damn cold, natural disaster this, natural disaster that, insects killing people. I mean, it's just one horror story after the other. And the atheists, they'll and they're all self-righteous, say, you call your God all-powerful and loving. Why? How do you explain this? Well, again, the fall of man. That's all I've got. That's all any of us. You believe in the Bible, that's it, man. That's how you explain it. And you also explain what's going to happen when things wrap up at the end of the age. How do you know we're not living at the end of the age? The Bible doesn't give any dates about exactly when it's going to be wrapped up, when it's really going to hit the fan. Okay, and the brakes are going to be put on this train and it's going to get on another track. It doesn't. Okay, but it gives a lot of signs. God didn't want us caught unawares with our pants down, metaphorically. Okay, he wanted us to be ready and to warn others, to be the watchman on the tower and say, look, I don't want your blood on my hands or on my head, metaphorically speaking, so I've got to go out there and correct people when I think they're evil. I got to seek to pull them out of the darkness and into the light. I've got to save them from falling in the rut as we're walking along the path that could injure them. I've got to do it. I have an obligation. So, this ignorance of bliss thing is for the birds. Okay, so that's the point there, is that we need to correct people. If you're a righteous human being, even if you've got flaws, don't let it stop you from reaching out to correct people, even though it's not fun. Parenting people, it's not fun. Ask any parent if it's always a party, a walk in the park, fun. No. It could be a real pain in the ass. So, but get over it, And it's carrying our fair share away to the cross. We've got to do what we've got to do. And remember, it all comes back to the money. Anytime you get into, talking about wages and stuff, this is talking about economic issues. Okay, and the media, they'll get in there and they don't talk about it. They'll point to how bad it is, the farmers in tears because they can't hold the farm workers because, Trump's not letting them all in and all this, but they can't keep the farm workers on the farm. But the mainstream media won't talk to you about what are they getting paid? What are the wages? They blur out their faces. Okay, they're unrecognizable. There's no protection for them. So if they're being paid $5 an hour, that's against the labor laws. Okay, so right there, they've got no protection. What would Cesar Chavez think of that? Okay, he was against illegal immigration. I mean, folks, wake up. Yeah, and we should have a Cesar Chavez Day, and we should bring attention to the things that he believed in. And I support the farm workers. I think if we're going to exalt anybody in our society, it ought to be their ilk. Okay, so you know that's where I'm coming from. Well, I guess I'm about done pontificating here. But remember, it's not radical to suggest the planet belongs to you too. And if we come from that point of view, that frame of reference, by extension, there's nothing strange about people having shares and stocks from birth. Okay, wealth. Do you understand? A level playing field is what I'm talking about here. Freedom for every